At Schnucks, we care about the safety of our community, which is why we enthusiastically support this program. We want you to be safe at home. This message has been brought to you by Schnucks, the friendliest stores in town.
We definitely live within a potentially dangerous earthquake zone. Now, no one knows for sure when an earthquake will occur, or how strong one will be. One thing we do know is earthquakes are survivable, especially if you're prepared. Hi, my name is Nick Ragnani. I'm a natural disaster specialist with the St. Louis County Office of Emergency Management. My office and KETC Channel 9 want you to be prepared for an earthquake. So for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to tell you what you need to know before, during, and after an earthquake. Probably everyone's worst fear is an earthquake hits, the arch falls over, and all of St. Louis is reduced to rubble. Well, that would make a great Hollywood script, but it's just not going to happen here. Now let's take a quick time out for a little history, geography, and seismology. St. Louis sits about 150 miles upriver from New Madrid, Missouri, and the infamous fault that's named for the town. Within the New Madrid seismic zone are a few other faults, some of them even closer to St. Louis. But our worst earthquake fears probably come from the stories we've heard about the massive quakes unleashed by the New Madrid fault back in 1811 and 1812. During a 3-month period, there was a non-stop series of quakes. 3 of them registered above 8.4 on the Richter scale. Those 3 quakes were the largest in North American history. Luckily, only a few thousand people lived in the area back then. They told stories about the Mississippi running backwards, riverbanks collapsing, and houses falling apart. As you can imagine, by the time it was all over, New Madrid was no vacation spot. In fact, the original town was swallowed up by the Mississippi River. Realistically, the chances of us getting hit by earthquakes that large again are rather small. What is more likely is a moderate earthquake of a 6-point range. Now that's not going to topple the city. Damage would be spotty, much like it was in San Francisco in 1989. Being caught inside one of these tall skyscrapers during an earthquake may not be your idea of a good time. Actually, they should stand up quite well, even here in the Midwest. You see, they're built to withstand strong tornadic winds, and their foundations are built down to bedrock. Now, during an earthquake, the glass and masonry may fall off the building, but the structures themselves should survive. Some of you may live in one of St. Louis's older brick homes and apartment buildings, and you're probably wondering what's going to happen. Well, chances are the bricks will fall off and chimneys topple over, but the structure itself probably won't collapse. If you're a mobile homeowner, I have some good news for you. Mobile homes should do quite well in an earthquake. They're made to be moved around. Now, just make sure they're tied down, or if you have a double wide, make sure the connections are reinforced. And wood frame homes should also do quite well in an earthquake, but they can twist and slide off their foundations. This depends on the strength of the quake, the duration, and the type of soil your house sits on. Now, you can bolt your house down to the foundation, but this gets involved and can be quite expensive. Welcome to the Grignani residence. It's not often I get to invite thousands of people into my home, but I want to show you the things that we've done to prepare our house for an earthquake. So come on inside. And don't forget to wipe your feet. Okay, this is the living room of my house, and there are several hazards here that could hurt someone in an earthquake. And these are the things that you need to look for in your own home. If you could just imagine your house being towed down the street on a set of wheels, what would fall over? Well, a good example is this big guy. What I've done in its case is I've bolted through the backside of it into a stud in the wall here to help hold it in place so it can't fall over. But there are still some things here on the shelves that could fall over. A good example is this receiver, or even the TV. What you can do is you can put some Velcro stripping on the underside of it that would help hold it in place so it can't fall out. Now, I did this with the microwave oven in the kitchen, and I'll show it to you later on. Another good example is the clock I have on the wall. This thing's going to be moving around a lot during an earthquake. So I took an eye hook and I screwed it through to a stud and then hung the clock from that eye hook. This way it'll still be moving around, but it's not going to fall off and bop somebody on top of the head. Now here in our dining room, we've got this top-heavy china cabinet. I attached some L brackets across the top and bolted them to a stud. Now the cabinet can't fall over on top of someone. But something else that has to be considered are the cabinet doors. They might fly open during an earthquake, and then all the contents come spilling out onto the floor. So I attached these child-proof safety latches. Now what that'll do is help keep the doors closed. And that's something you might want to consider in your kitchen, probably the most hazardous area to be in during an earthquake. The reason why you have to be concerned about the kitchen is because there's a lot of things here that could hurt you. The same thing that's going to happen with the china cabinet is going to happen with the kitchen cabinets. The doors are going to fly open, and everything that's on the shelves are going to fall out at you. The plates, the dishes, the knives. So just install the child-proof safety latches. That'll help keep the cabinet doors closed. Now, something else to think about is the stove. I've bolted mine to the floor so it can't fall over or move around. And you can do the same thing just by using the L brackets or bolting through to the frame. But if you're standing here cooking during an earthquake, there may be a fire hazard. That's why you have to have a fire extinguisher. All homes should have at least 3. One in the basement, one in the kitchen, and one out in the garage. And make sure you get the type that covers all types of fires. Now, the microwave oven. Remember I showed you the stereo receiver and talked about Velcro stripping? Well, here's what I did for the microwave. I took some 4x4 blocks and installed them to it. This way it helps hold it in place so it can't fall over. I removed the wheels from the cart and then bolted it to the floor. It's still going to move around, but it's not going to fall over. This ceiling fan may be a problem. It'll move around in an earthquake, and it might pull loose from the ceiling. Now, there's a special bracket you can buy for that, and I'll show you that later on in the bedroom. The icebox. Now, this thing is going to be moving around a lot during an earthquake. Now, you can try bolting it down, but that gets a little involved. Just realize that in a strong earthquake, it may fall over on top of you, so you're going to have to take some kind of cover. Now, your kitchen table may be the best place. Just duck, cover, and hold. Now, while I'm down here, we can talk about the safest areas in your homes to be in. This is good because you have cover and something to hold on to. But if you can't get here, your hallway may be the next best place. The reason why the hallway is such a good spot to be in is because the walls are closer and they help support the weight of the house. Now, there's nothing here that can hurt anyone unless you have pictures on the wall. So they're going to have to be secured. And I'll show you how to do that later. Now, put your feet against the wall, brace yourself, and ride it out. If you're a burnout from the 60s and still have shag carpeting, grab a hold of the stuff. Before I show you my kid's bedroom, the real disaster area of our house, let's talk about door frames. They're another good option. You just have to remember that the door could slam shut on your fingers. So here's what you do. You brace yourself, put your foot out a little bit, like a pushy salesman would do, and then hold on and ride it out. My kid's bedroom has some unique problems. This is something you might find in your own home. I bolted the dresser down. There's not much I can do about the aquarium. Now, my son has some trophies over here, and I'm not going to do anything for them. Now, you could put double-stick tape or Velcro underneath them if there was something that was important. You see, you don't have to strap down and bolt down everything in your home. Just the things that might fall over and hurt you are the things that you want to keep. Now, the kids have bunk beds, and bunk beds are top-heavy. I bolted these to the wall. This gives the kids some protection. They can get down under here. Later on, you'll get to see them in an earthquake drill. If you're in bed during an earthquake, just stay there. Take all your pillows and blankets and put them on top of you. Keep a pair of shoes by the side of your bed, in case after the earthquake you have to walk out of the bedroom on top of broken glass and debris. If you can avoid it, don't put your bed underneath the window. This is the only place our bed would fit in this small bedroom. But these blinds, or even some curtains, would give us some protection in case the window breaks. You know, I've been talking about this Velcro I'm using to hold down my microwave oven and the TV here, so I thought I'd show it to you. This is pretty good stuff. It's not the kind you would find on your clothes. Actually, it has an iron grip. I was pretty impressed when I saw someone try to do this. Folks, this isn't going to let go. Most of you have dresser mirrors like we do. And what I did for ours is I took double stick tape and I put it on the back of it and stuck it to the wall. Now, double stick tape is also a good way of keeping your pictures from falling off the wall. Or you can use the eye hook like I did on our clock in the living room. Or you can even just bolt through the frame like they do in restaurants to keep people from stealing the pictures. Now, earlier I showed you the ceiling fan in the kitchen. Well, I have another one here in the bedroom. Now, it's on a longer pipe, so it's going to be moving around a lot in an earthquake. The concern here is the junction box may pull out of the ceiling. So I bought a special bracket that goes between the joists. And then you bolt the junction box to the bar. And that keeps the fan from falling down on the bed. Here's something you should have in every room of your house: emergency lighting. When the power goes off, this light will come on. All you have to do is walk over and unplug it, and now you have a flashlight. Boy, here's a real nightmare. What do you do if you're caught in the shower during an earthquake? Well, be careful, because it's going to be slippery. Get down and grab the tub. Then after the quake, put some clothes on. I don't know what to tell you if you're sitting here, but I do know what to tell you about the medicine cabinet. Safety latches. Everyone asks me, how do you store water? Well, you're already storing water in your hot water heater. And if it falls over, you're going to lose that water. Plus, if it's gas-fired or electric, those lines will pull loose and you'll have another hazard. So, get some plumber's tape and wrap it around it, both top and bottom, and then attach it to a stud. Works great. Something else people ask me a lot is what should be stored in an earthquake kit and where should you store it? Well, I'm storing mine in a closet. It's close to an exit, plus the structure of the closet gives it some protection. Now, I've got some sleeping bags here, and down below I'm storing some water. You can never store enough water. You see, you can't depend on just your hot water heater. You may have to leave your home, and you can't take your hot water heater with you. So if you have some water stored in easy-carried containers, it would help you out a lot. Now, this is distilled water, and it has a shelf life of about a year. It will develop a taste of the plastic container, so we're keeping some pre-sweetened Kool-Aid to help cut that taste. In addition to that, I have some individual packets of water. Now, these have a shelf life of about 5 years. Now, this is the main body kit, and I have a lot of specialized items in here. It can be used for any disaster situation. I have a first aid manual and kit, a pre-sweetened Kool-Aid. If you're on special prescription medicine, make sure you keep an extra supply. A toiletry bag. I have a little pouch that has some extra cash in it. This is important. The banks may be out of service for a while, so you're not going to be able to go draw money out of your account. I have a flashlight and portable radio. The radio is really important. You want to keep in touch with the outside world. Now, both of these are powered by batteries, so I've kept an extra supply of batteries. Foxhole shovel. This can be used as a shovel or even as an axe. We have gloves, dust mask, eye protection, gray duct tape. This is good for taping up broken windows or any kind of general repair. There's a nylon rope and a tarpaulin so you can make a tent. A pry bar in case you have to force open a door. There's a wrench you're going to need to turn off your gas. There's a rain poncho and emergency blankets. These are these light sticks that you just break and they glow and give you some light. Now, I have these military ready-to-eats, and I guess you could call them food. You just open them up and eat them. The rule of thumb is eat your perishable items first and then your canned goods. But don't eat anything that smells bad or has hair growing on it. Then eat these things as a last resort. And when you eat them for the first time, you'll know why. Make sure you have a manual can opener. And then special waste bags. You just put these in a bucket and you can use them as a toilet. Now, I've shown you the basics. You can personalize your kit any way you want. Just put something together that fits your lifestyle so that you're prepared. Okay, so it's after the earthquake and you're smelling gas. Well, you're going to have to quickly turn off your gas service. In order to do this, you're obviously going to have to know where your shutoff valve is. Your gas shutoff valve will always be between the meter and where the pipe either enters your home or comes out of the ground. Now's when you take your wrench that you've been storing for so long in your earthquake kit, apply it to this flange, give it a little oomph, and turn it so it's horizontal across the pipe. You've now successfully turned off your gas service. Only do this if you're actually smelling a gas leak. After a quake, you may have a broken wire in your house you don't even know about, so you need to learn how to turn off your electricity. I have fuses. Some people have circuit breakers. With circuit breakers, you would throw each one and then the main. In my case, I would just hit the main. If you have to leave your home and go to a shelter, be sure to turn off your power. You may have an appliance that's been jolted on, and when the power is restored to the neighborhood, that appliance could come on, overheat, and possibly catch fire. And make sure you know how to turn off your water supply, in case you have a broken water line in the house. This isn't California. If it's winter and utilities are out and your furnace isn't working, it's going to get cold real quick. A fireplace or a wood-burning stove could be an alternate heating source and a good place to cook some meals. Just make sure you're using the right type of materials. Do not burn any treated wood, painted wood, or charcoal. Check your flue and then go outside and check your chimney. These are one of the first things that can fall over even during a minor earthquake. They can be reinforced or replaced by sheet metal chimneys, but that can get expensive. Now, if you don't have a fireplace or your chimney is damaged, you do have an alternate cooking source. Your trusty barbecue grill. Now, don't take this inside. It's a potential fire hazard, and if it doesn't burn your house down, you could suffocate from the carbon monoxide fumes. Some of you are lucky enough to have a barbecue and a swimming pool in your backyard. Obviously, I don't. But if you do have a swimming pool, don't drink the water. It's contaminated with salts and impurities from the air. You can use it for bathing or washing out your clothes, but if you try to drink too much of it, it could damage your kidneys. If after an earthquake, you realize that you have to leave your home and go to a shelter, you're going to have to be concerned about your pets because they're not going to be allowed in the shelter. You can leave them at home in a secure environment with enough food and water that'll last them for a couple of days. Your kids could be at school during an earthquake, so you need to find out what plans are in place. Most schools are drawing up these plans now and putting your kids through earthquake drills, like here at the Armstrong School in Hazelwood. Okay, kids, let's show them what we've learned. Duck, cover, hold. Okay, the reason why you have to hold onto your desk is because it's going to move around during an earthquake, and if you're not holding onto it, it's going to move away from you. And you have to keep your head underneath the desk. That way, if something falls, you'll have some protection. Great job, kids. There are 3 things you can do to help your kids at school. First, designate someone who could come pick them up in case you can't, but make sure the school and your child knows who that person is. Second, sign a special release form in case they're injured. That way the school can start medical treatment. And third, talk to them. Make sure they know it may be a while. It could be hours, it could be days, but eventually someone they know will come for them. If the kids are at school, then you're probably at the office, and I bet those kids have had more earthquake drills than you have. You need to look around and locate the things that could hurt you. Many of them may be the same hazards you have in your home. For instance, the computer, the picture, the windows, this drop ceiling, even the lights could all come down on top of you. So what protection do you have? Well, if you've been paying any attention at all, you should know by now. Just get underneath something. A desk, a table, a chair, anything that'll protect you. Now, you may have to make your office your home for a while, so you're going to need something to help you get by. A mini earthquake kit. Just store some water, food bars. If you don't like eating those things, some candy bars, an emergency blanket, a good book to read, a pair of tennis shoes in case you're forced to walk home, a battery-powered radio, and if you have a secure place to keep it, some extra cash. Now, if you really want to be prepared, check to see if your business has an emergency plan, and be very familiar with it. Look, I know everyone doesn't work in an office, Some of you work around hazardous materials and heavy equipment. Well, if I were you, I'd go in and see the boss and see that he has a disaster plan. Make sure you know your role in that plan, and make sure he does at least 2 disaster drills a year. If you're driving along and you're seeing power lines and telephone poles swaying, and the car's becoming difficult to steer, chances are you're in an earthquake. So here's what you do. Slow the car down, move off the road to a clear area, set your parking brake. Now be careful, the car is going to be jumping around a little bit. Then get down on the floor and hold on to the seats. Now the reason why you have to get down like this is in case something falls on the roof and it collapses. This will give you some protection. Now, if you decide to drive on, do so at your own risk. But be aware, the road may be damaged, there could be debris on the road, or the bridges will be out. And if so, you're probably going to have to go on foot. And that's why you need a survival kit for your car. Now, this is just a scaled-down version of the one I have in my home. I have some water, some food bars, a special car first aid kit, a pair of tennis shoes in case I'm wearing the wrong type of shoes for walking, maps so I know where I'm going, a pad of paper and a pen so I can write a note and tell people where I went and leave it on the car. That way if they find your car, they know where to find you. Now you can just take all this stuff and pack it up. You can put it in a backpack or in a carry-all bag like I have. Just grab it and go. During the 1989 World Series in San Francisco, there was an earthquake, and the fans in Candlestick Park did the right thing. They remained in their seats and they stayed calm. If you find yourself at Bush Memorial Stadium, the arena, or any public stadium during an earthquake, don't run for the exits. Stay in your seats, ride it out, and then wait for instructions. In a theater, the same rules apply. Sure, you may be worried about the things overhead, but your biggest concern is going to be the people around you, if they panic. Just remember, stay in your seats, hold on, and remain calm. If you're outside during an earthquake, you want to move to an open area, away from trees, power lines, and telephone poles. Now, if you're in a downtown situation with a lot of tall buildings around, with glass and brick, you can step inside a doorway to get some protection. If you spend a lot of time in the malls like my wife does, you need to be concerned about what's overhead. Lights, glass, skywalk. Your best protection here would be to get into one of the stores. Now, if it's a clothing store, get up into the clothing racks and hold on and wait for the shaking to stop. If you're in a public place and after an earthquake you want to use the phone, you may find out that it's not working. Well, the reason may be because too many phones are knocked off the hook. If you see one, put it back on. Now, even if it is working, don't use it unless it's an absolute emergency. You'll only be tying up the lines. I've talked to you about home preparedness, school emergency plans, and business disaster plans. But there's one thing I haven't talked to you about, and that's your family plan. Now, my family and I have developed one, and here they are now. This is my wife, Jan, my son, Joey, and my son, Tony, and our dog, Gypsy. This is what being prepared is all about. Your family. You need to sit down and talk to them and find out about their needs during a disaster. The Office of Emergency Management and the American Red Cross have detailed information that can help you with a family plan. After a quake, you and your family may be separated. You probably won't be able to just pick up a phone and call them because the local service will be out. Now, the long-distance service will be the first thing to come back in. So you need to designate somebody out of state that you could call to tell them where you are and that you're okay. This way, anybody can call them and find out about you. You should be doing earthquake drills in your home. This way, everybody knows where to go during an earthquake. Now, my family and I have two places. In our living room or our kitchen, we would go into the hallway. Okay, kids, it's an earthquake. Come on, let's go down the hall. Hurry up. My wife and I get down on the floor and put our feet up against the wall.
Right.
We put the kids between our legs and hold on to them. The kids know that if they're in their beds, the guy who's up on top takes his pillow and throws it down to the lower bed, and then the both of them get underneath the top bunk, and they ride out the quake. Some final thoughts. Talk to your kids. They may be scared. Let them know that you're scared too. But you're doing something about it. You're putting together a kit, you're writing a plan, you're doing family earthquake drills. These things are important because it gives the kids a sense of security. Get together with your neighbors. See if they have any kind of special skills or needs. This is important because you're all going to have to work together in any disaster. Check your insurance policy. Make sure you're covered for earthquake damage. Not only the structure, but the contents of the house as well. And check your deductible. Look, it's a roll of the dice. We may never get a damaging earthquake. But then again, it could happen today or tomorrow. So you've got nothing to lose by being prepared. You give yourself peace of mind and greatly increase your chances of coming out of any earthquake safe and sound.
The best way to be safe at home is to be prepared. We hope that you take every precaution to ensure the health and comfort of your family. At Schnucks, our concern is for you.